June 2024, Connor McDavid stood on the ice at Amerant Bank Arena in Florida, holding the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But something was wrong with this picture. The Edmonton Oilers captain had just lost the Stanley Cup Final in 7 games to the Florida Panthers. McDavid became only the 6th player in NHL history to win the playoff MVP award while losing the championship series. 1 year later, McDavid finds himself in an almost impossible situation. The 2025 Stanley Cup Final is set, and once again, the Edmonton Oilers face the Florida Panthers. The same opponent that broke his heart 12 months ago now stands between McDavid and his first Stanley Cup championship. This is not just another playoff series. This is the ultimate test of whether the best hockey player in the world can finally capture the one prize that has escaped him. McDavid enters this rematch as the leading scorer of the 2025 playoffs with 26 points in 6 goals and 20 assists. He has been the most dominant player throughout these playoffs, just as he was in 2024 when he put up 42 points to win the Conn Smythe Trophy despite losing the cup. The question that haunts hockey fans across Canada and around the world is simple but profound. What happens when the best player in the world gets a second chance at his ultimate destiny? The stakes could not be higher for McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. This franchise has not won a Stanley Cup since 1990, making it one of the longest championship droughts in professional sports. McDavid was drafted first overall in 2015 specifically to end this drought and bring Lord Stanley's Cup back to Edmonton. 10 years later, he stands on the doorstep of fulfilling that promise, but the same team that denied him in 2024 waits on the other side. This rematch represents more than just hockey. It is about redemption, second chances, and whether individual greatness can overcome the obstacles that define McDavid's career. The 2025 Stanley Cup Final between Edmonton and Florida is not just a championship series. It is Connor McDavid's moment of truth. The 2024 heartbreak that changed everything. The 2024 Stanley Cup Final should have been Connor McDavid's crowning achievement. Instead, it became the most painful lesson of his career. McDavid entered that series against the Florida Panthers after one of the most dominant playoff runs in recent memory. He had already accumulated 31 points through the first 3 rounds, putting him on pace for one of the greatest individual playoff performances in NHL history. When the final began, the Panthers jumped out to a commanding 3-0 lead. Most experts consider the series over. The Oilers face elimination, and McDavid's championship dreams appear crushed once again. But what happened next showed exactly why McDavid is considered the best player in hockey today. Games 3, 4, and 5 became the Connor McDavid show. He scored 3 goals and added 7 assists across those 3 games, single-handedly willing the Edmonton Oilers back into the series. McDavid's performance in Game 4 was particularly remarkable. He recorded 4 points in a crucial 8-1 victory that kept Edmonton's season alive. In Game 5, with elimination looming again, McDavid delivered another multi-point performance to force a 6-game back in Edmonton. The hockey world watched in amazement as one player carried an entire franchise on his shoulders. His speed, vision, and playmaking ability reached levels that reminded fans why he had been called the most talented player since Mario Lemieux. The Oilers completed their historic comeback by winning Game 6 at home, forcing a decisive 7-game back in Florida. McDavid had done something that seemed impossible just days earlier. He had brought his team back from the brink of elimination against a Panthers team that had dominated the entire playoff tournament. 3-0 had become 3-3, and everything would be decided in one final game. But Game 7 told a different story. The Florida Panthers, playing at home with their backs against the wall, found a way to contain McDavid when it mattered most. He was held without a point for the first time in the series. The same player who had been unstoppable for 3 straight games suddenly found himself frustrated by Florida's defensive adjustments. The Panthers won 2-1, capturing their first Stanley Cup championship in franchise history while leaving McDavid and the Oilers heartbroken. Despite the crushing defeat, McDavid's overall performance earned him the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. His final statistics were remarkable: 3 goals and 8 assists for 11 points in 7 games, with a +5 rating. He had outplayed every other player in the series, including the entire Florida Panthers roster. Yet none of those numbers could change the fact that he was going home without the Stanley Cup. McDavid became only the 6th player in NHL history to win a playoff MVP award from the losing team, joining legends like Jean-Sebastien Giguère and Ron Hextall. The 2025 Revenge Tour. The pain of losing the 2024 Stanley Cup Final changed Connor McDavid in ways that became obvious from the very first game of the 2024-25 regular season. The player who had always been great suddenly seemed to have found another level. McDavid finished the regular season with career high numbers, but more importantly, he carried himself himself differently. There was a focus and determination that even his teammates noticed. The loss to Florida had not broken him. Instead, it had forged him into something even more dangerous. When the 2025 playoffs began, McDavid made it clear that he was on a mission. Through the first 3 rounds of the postseason, he has been the most dominant player in hockey. His 26 points and 6 goals and 20 assists lead all playoff scorers by a significant margin, but these numbers only tell part of the story. McDavid has been playing with a level of intensity and purpose that goes beyond statistics. He has been winning battles along the boards, making defensive plays, and showing the kind of complete game that championship teams require from their best players. The Edmonton Oilers have also grown around their captain. The supporting cast that struggled at times in 2024 has stepped up in crucial moments throughout the 2025 playoffs. Leon Draisaitl has been a perfect complement to McDavid, while the team's depth players have contributed in ways that make Edmonton much more dangerous than they were a year ago. The power play has been lethal, and the penalty kill has been solid. Most importantly, the team seems to have learned from the heartbreak of 2024. What makes McDavid's 2025 playoff run even more impressive is how he has performed in the biggest moments. Unlike some superstars who can disappear when the pressure mounts, McDavid has been at his best when his team needed him most. In elimination games, he has been unstoppable. In overtime situations, he has been the difference maker. The player who went scoreless in games 6 and 7 of the 2024 final has shown that he learned from that experience. The path back to the Stanley Cup Final has not been easy for Edmonton. They faced strong opponents in each round, but McDavid has been the constant that has carried them through every challenge. His speed continues to be unmatched in the NHL. His vision and passing ability create scoring chances that no other player can see. His shot has become more dangerous. His defensive game has improved significantly. Most importantly, his leadership has grown into something that his teammates can rally around. Now McDavid finds himself exactly where he was 12 months ago, but everything feels different. The Edmonton Oilers are not the same team that lost to Florida in 2024. They are deeper, more experienced, and more confident. McDavid himself is not the same player who held the Conn Smythe Trophy while watching the Panthers celebrate their championship. He is a player who has used that pain as fuel to reach an even higher level of excellence. The question that remains is whether that will be enough to finally capture the Stanley Cup that has escaped him for so long. Breaking down the McDavid Factor. The narrative that Connor McDavid struggles in big moments has never been supported by the actual facts. A closer look at his playoff performances reveals a player who consistently elevates his game when the stakes are highest. His 2024 Stanley Cup Final performance stands as one of the greatest individual efforts in championship history, regardless of the final outcome. 3 goals and 8 assists in 7 games against elite competition is not the work of a player who shrinks under pressure. McDavid's playoff career tells the story of a player who has consistently carried teams further than they had any right to go. Before reaching back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, he led Edmonton to the second round of the playoffs multiple times with rosters that lacked the depth needed for championship runs. His individual playoff statistics are among the best of any active player. More importantly, his teams have consistently overachieved when he is at his best. The comparison to other superstar players reveals that McDavid's championship journey is not unusual. Sidney Crosby did not win his first Stanley Cup until his 6th NHL season. Alexander Ovechkin needed the teen seasons before finally capturing his elusive championship with Washington. Even Wayne Gretzky, widely considered the greatest player in hockey history, needed 5 seasons before winning his first cup with Edmonton. The greatest players in hockey history have often needed multiple attempts before breaking through to championship success. What sets McDavid apart from many other superstars is how he has performed individually while his teams have fallen short. His 2024 Conn Smythe Trophy, when despite losing the final, puts him in rare company. Only 5 other players in NHL history have won playoff MVP honors from the losing team. Those players include goaltender Jean-Sebastien Giguère and Ron Hextall, who had historic playoff runs despite their teams losing in the final. For a skater to win the award from the losing team is almost unheard of in modern hockey. The advanced statistics support what the eye test reveals about McDavid's playoff performances. His expected goals percentage, his shot generation, and his defensive impact all improved during the postseason. He creates more scoring chances per game in the playoffs than he does during the regular season. His ice time increases, but his effectiveness does not decrease even with the added responsibility. These are not the numbers of a player who cannot handle pressure. McDavid's evolution as a complete player has been particularly evident during his championship runs. The player who was once criticized for focusing only on offense has developed into someone who impacts every aspect of the game. His defensive play has improved dramatically. His physical play has become more noticeable. His leadership on the ice has grown into something that his teammates can rely on in the biggest moments. The real factor that has prevented McDavid from winning a Stanley Cup has been the strength of his competition and the team around him. The Edmonton Oilers have not always had the supporting cast needed for championship success. Their goaltending has been inconsistent at times. Their depth has not always matched up with the elite teams they have faced in the playoffs. McDavid has consistently done his part, but hockey is the ultimate team sport where individual brilliance can only carry a team so far. The Florida Panthers problem. The Florida Panthers present a unique challenge for Connor McDavid that goes beyond normal playoff hockey. Their defensive system has been specifically designed to neutralize elite offensive players, and they have proven more effective at containing McDavid than any other team he has faced. The Panthers' success against McDavid is not accidental. It is a result of careful planning, physical execution, and tactical adjustments that have made them his most difficult opponent. Florida's defensive approach centers around limiting McDavid's time and space with the puck. They use a combination of aggressive forechecking and physical play to disrupt his rhythm before he can build up speed through the neutral zone. The Panthers assign their best offensive players to shadow McDavid throughout each shift, making it difficult for him to find the open ice where he is most dangerous. Their defensemen play him extremely tight at the blue line, forcing him to make quick decisions with limited options. The Panthers' goaltending has also been a major factor in their success against McDavid. Their goalies have made crucial saves at key moments, particularly during Edmonton's power play opportunities. Florida's penalty kill has been among the best in the NHL, and they have done an excellent job of limiting McDavid's effectiveness with the Moan advantage. When McDavid has generated quality scoring chances, Panthers goaltenders have consistently risen to the occasion. What makes Florida particularly difficult for McDavid is their team speed and conditioning. The Panthers can match Edmonton's pace throughout an entire game, which prevents McDavid from wearing down opponents with his superior skating ability. Their forwards backcheck aggressively, creating additional layers of defense that McDavid must navigate. Their defensemen are mobile enough to stay with McDavid on his rushes, limiting the breakaway opportunities that have made him so dangerous against other teams. The physical aspect of Florida's game plan cannot be overlooked. The Panthers play a heavy, grinding style that takes a toll on skilled players over the course of a 7-game series. They finish every check and make McDavid work for every inch of ice. This physical approach is legal and effective, but it requires McDavid to absorb punishment while still trying to create offense for his team. The cumulative effect of this physical play becomes more noticeable as a series progresses. Florida's coaching staff has also shown an ability to make adjustments throughout a series. When McDavid found success in games 3 through 5 of the 2024 final, the Panthers coaching staff made tactical changes that limited his effectiveness in the final 2 games. They switched defensive pairings, altered their forechecking patterns, and changed their approach on special teams. These adjustments showed that Florida was not content to simply play the same way regardless of what Edmonton was doing. The mental aspect of facing Florida has become a factor for McDavid as well. The Panthers were the team that prevented him from winning his first Stanley Cup in 2024. They have been inside his head in ways that other opponents have not. Every shift against Florida carries the weight of that previous failure. Every missed opportunity brings back memories of coming so close to championship success only to fall short in the end. However, the 2025 rematch presents new challenges for Florida as well. McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers have had an entire year to study the Panthers' defensive system and develop counter strategies. The Oilers coaching staff has made adjustments to their offensive approach based on what they learned in 2024. McDavid himself has evolved his game in ways that should make him more effective against Florida's physical style of play. The legacy-defining moment for Connor McDavid, the 2025 Stanley Cup Final, represents more than just another chance to win a championship. The series will define how he is remembered in hockey history. The difference between winning and losing this rematch against Florida could determine whether McDavid is viewed as one of the greatest players who never won a cup, or as a champion who overcame every obstacle to reach the pinnacle of his sport. The pressure surrounding McDavid's quest for a Stanley Cup extends far beyond his individual legacy. The Edmonton Oilers have not won a championship since 1990, creating one of the longest droughts in professional sports. The city of Edmonton and the entire province of Alberta have been waiting 35 years for another Stanley Cup parade. McDavid was drafted specifically specifically to end this drought, and the expectations placed on him have been enormous from the moment he arrived in Edmonton. The Canadian hockey market adds another layer of significance to McDavid's championship pursuit. As the best Canadian player in the NHL, McDavid carries the hopes of an entire nation. Canada has not seen one of its teams win the Stanley Cup since the Montreal Canadiens captured the championship in 1993. The drought of Canadian Stanley Cup victories has become a source of national frustration, and McDavid represents the best hope of ending that streak. McDavid's individual achievements are already legendary. He has won multiple Hart trophies as the league's most valuable player. He has captured Art Ross trophies as the NHL's leading scorer. He has been named to multiple All-Star teams and has broken numerous records throughout his career. The only major achievement missing from his resume is a Stanley Cup championship, and that absence has become a defining narrative of his career. The historical importance of this moment cannot be overstated. McDavid has the opportunity to join the ranks of players like Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Sidney Crosby, who combine individual excellence with championship success. Without a Stanley Cup, McDavid risks being grouped with players like Marcel Dion and Eric Lindros, who were individually brilliant but never captured the sport's ultimate prize. The difference between these two groups is often determined by moments exactly like the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. The timing of this opportunity adds urgency to McDavid's situation. At 28 years old, McDavid is entering the prime years of his career, but he is also approaching the age where championship windows can close quickly. The Edmonton Oilers have built their roster around McDavid's timeline, but salary cap constraints and aging players mean that future opportunities may not be guaranteed. This rematch against Florida may represent McDavid's best chance to win a Stanley Cup with this particular group of teammates. The weight of expectations has been visible throughout McDavid's playoff career. Every shift is analyzed, every decision is scrutinized, and every result is measured against the ultimate goal of winning a championship. The pressure has been particularly intense during Edmonton's recent playoff runs, where McDavid has been expected to single-handedly carry his team to victory. The 2024 Stanley Cup Final loss only increased these expectations for the 2025 season. However, McDavid has shown throughout his career that he performs better under pressure rather than wilting from it. His best individual performances have come in the biggest games. His leadership has grown stronger as the stakes have increased. The player who once seemed overwhelmed by the pressure of being the next one has evolved into someone who embraces the responsibility that comes with being the best player in hockey. The current stakes and climax. The 2025 Stanley Cup Final between Edmonton and Florida has all the elements of a classic championship series. Both teams have proven themselves through 3 grueling rounds of playoff hockey. Both have overcome significant obstacles to reach this point. Both understand that this series will be decided by the smallest of margins, just as their 2024 meeting was decided by a single goal in Game 7. For Connor McDavid, every shift in this series carries the weight of his entire career. Every pass, every shot, and every defensive play will be measured against the ultimate goal of winning his first Stanley Cup. The hockey world will be watching to see if McDavid can finally break through against a team that has been his greatest obstacle. The performance he delivers in this series will be remembered long after his playing career ends. The Florida Panthers understand that they have the opportunity to break McDavid's spirit once again. Their players and coaches know exactly how to defend against his unique skill set. They have the confidence that comes from having beaten him before when everything was on the line. The Panthers are not intimidated by McDavid's regular season dominance or his playoff statistics. They have proven that they can contain him when it matters most. The series dynamics favor neither team heading into the opening game. Both squads have had success against quality opponents throughout the playoffs. Both have shown the ability to win in different ways, whether through high-scoring games or defensive battles. Both have depth throughout their lineups and goaltending that has been tested under pressure. The margin for error will be minimal for both sides. McDavid's supporting cast will play a crucial role in determining the outcome of this series. Leon Draisaitl must continue to be the secondary scoring threat that takes pressure off McDavid. The Oilers' depth players must contribute in ways they did not consistently do in 2024. The Edmonton power play, which has been lethal throughout the 2025 playoffs, must find ways to solve Florida's excellent penalty kill. The coaching battle between the two teams adds another layer of intrigue to this series. Both coaching staffs have had success making adjustments throughout their playoff runs. The team that can adapt more quickly to what their opponent is doing may gain the decisive advantage. The chess match between the benches could be just as important as the individual battles on the ice. The psychological aspect of this rematch cannot be ignored. McDavid and the Oilers carry the burden of their 2024 failure, but they also have the motivation that comes from knowing exactly what they lost. The Panthers have the confidence of having beaten Edmonton before, but they also face the pressure of defending their status as champions. Both teams have have reasons to believe they can win, and both have reasons to fear they could lose. The hockey world waits to see if Connor McDavid can finally capture the Stanley Cup that has defined his career pursuit. The stage is set for one of the most compelling championship series in recent memory. Two teams that know each other intimately will battle for the right to call themselves Stanley Cup champions. For McDavid, this is not just another series. This is his moment of truth. Outro and engagement. The 2025 Stanley Cup Final represents the ultimate test for Connor McDavid. After a career filled with individual achievements and team success that fell just short of the ultimate goal, McDavid faces the Florida Panthers once again with everything on the line. The player who won the Conn Smythe Trophy in defeat 12 months ago now has the opportunity to complete his legacy with a Stanley Cup championship. McDavid enters this series as a different player than the one who lost to Florida in 2024. His 26 points leading the 2025 playoffs demonstrate that he has reached an even higher level of excellence. His leadership has matured, his complete game has improved, and his determination has been forged by the pain of coming so close to his ultimate goal. The Edmonton Oilers around him have also evolved, creating a deeper and more experienced team than the one that fell short in 7 games last year. The Florida Panthers remain a formidable opponent with a defensive system and physical style that has given McDavid more trouble than any other team. Their ability to contain elite offensive players and their experience in championship situations make them dangerous opponents. The Panthers prove in 2024 that they can beat McDavid when everything is on the line, and they will use that confidence as they attempt to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. This series will answer the defining question of McDavid's career. Can the best player in hockey finally win the Stanley Cup that has escaped him throughout his pursuit of greatness? The rematch against Florida provides a perfect stage for McDavid to prove that individual excellence can overcome every obstacle when combined with team success and championship determination. The hockey world will be watching as Connor McDavid attempt to complete his transformation from the best player without a cup to a Stanley Cup champion. The 2025 Stanley Cup Final between Edmonton and Florida is more than just a championship series. It is Connor McDavid's opportunity to define his legacy and cement his place among the greatest champions in hockey history. The stage is set, the players are ready, and the moment of truth has arrived.